All right, guys, so welcome to the podcast. So we'll welcome Mariah, we got Bob, Rhiannon, which is her third time being on the podcast. We got Jen, we got Antler, Sandy, and we got Kelsey. So we're all today going to be talking about like our fitness journey, our weight loss journey. Now, for most of you here, we've had a big weight loss journey, right? For some of us, we've always been fit.
Not
right?
necessarily.
Not always?
Not always.
All right, so we'll talk about that. But the first thing I really want to talk about, because I want your perspective, is for women, like what stops them from joining a gym? So like what goes through their head? Because, you know, for a guy to go to like a big box gym, whatever, this dude's there, you lift weights, you kind of figure it out. But I know from being a weight loss coach, a fitness instructor, physical therapist, like it's different for women. Can someone speak to that, or multiple people speak to that? Like, you know, what stops them, in your opinion?
Intimidation from other people that are there, might know more than you do. The guys can be intimidating too.
Like creepy guys?
Yeah, creepy guys.
Yeah.
I don't know, just I think feeling like you're not doing it right, or you don't know what you're doing. So you kind of like hide away into a corner and try and do it, and then you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm not doing it right, and you leave, or else I have. So that's my take on it.
Like not knowing how to use all the different equipment that they have.
Yeah.
So you're standing there trying to watch other people figure it out.
And I guess that makes sense because I started working on the gym when I was like 14 or 15 with my dad's boss's son, who was like 3 or 4 years older than me, so he was about 18. So he showed me how to lift weights. And not really, I don't really think too much about that, but like had that not happened, then, and I think it's for lifting weights, when you're younger, it's usually more men. Like your son.
Oh yeah,
Right?
He's obsessed. He's obsessed.
You know what I'm saying? I think that's more of like a, you know, men going to the lifting weights. And I think we were talking about it today. We were talking about the intra and the protein and the amino acids. And I always emphasize, and maybe it's just me, but like women don't want to get bulky. That's what they always say to me. They don't want to be like jacked up for the most part. And I say, hey, like, unless you're like a man or you're on like testosterone, like you cannot bulk up that much, just biologically. Because I think that pushes women away. Like they think they're going to touch a weight and all of a sudden they're going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? Was that a concern for people, for you guys before? Like what do you think about that? Does that scare you? Like with the weights, because most of you in the semi-privates where we use weights.
That didn't scare me.
That didn't scare me either.
No.
It didn't even enter into my head. And
Yeah.
I'm a bigger woman, you know what I mean? But it was more, for me, I think a lot of times before I started getting into fitness and going into the gym, was really worrying about whether I was going to hurt myself, whether I was going to get judged by people.
Mm-hmm.
So
What would they judge you on?
I don't know, by the way I looked,
Okay.
you know what I mean? So
like being overweight?
Being overweight, the way I look, you know, because especially in the dawn of cell phones and people recording other people and posting it on social media, I've seen it.
Oh
We've
yeah,
all
the fear of
seen it.
becoming a meme, right?
To be a meme or whatever it is,
Definitely.
because that does happen. So I think a lot of times people see that and they think that could happen to them. But with the weights itself, I was always afraid that if I did it without somebody showing me how to do it, that I was going to really hurt myself. And I didn't want to hurt myself. So
Now, going back to like why, because we're all in a small boutique fitness, right? Some of us for the love of kickboxing, some of us because we feel more comfortable. Like, but what's the benefit of, for you guys, feeling going to like a smaller studio of mostly women, right?
Yes.
I would probably say like 98% of the members are women, especially with kickboxing. What's the benefit of that versus going to like a big box gym, you know, with tons of different kinds of people?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bob.
Definitely.
Just and Bob
Yeah.
too. But this, you know, this is the first place I personally have been to that I've actually connected with people and am comfortable around people, especially other women, because sometimes it's very tough, you know. So it's nice to be able to go to a place that's smaller that you can relate to people at different levels of their fitness journey, no matter what it is. So you get inspiration from
Yeah,
from
and you
everybody.
don't feel judged
Right.
here at all. Like everybody's doing different things. Like sometimes you have to modify something and nobody's looking at you like, oh my God, why are you doing that?
Right.
You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's when I set up to do this, because I was as a physical therapist or just like as my mom taught me, like you don't want to make people feel awkward. So well, I do silly things because if I'm silly, like whatever, but like when you come in, you don't want that. you know. And I actually had a lady today came in for a sales meeting. She's on the phone. She comes in. She's like, I can't do this, talking to her friend. And she's like, I got 2 bad knees, and I know this is kickboxing. I go, well, it's a good thing I'm a physical therapist, right?
That's true.
I've had people do this who didn't have a leg. You know, I think I said 2 legs, but I meant 1 leg. But anyway, if you still didn't have 2 legs, you could still do it. You could sit down,
Yeah.
right? And she signed up, and it's about like, well, where else are you going to do it? You're going to do it on your own without supervision, you know?
Right. Here you get help, not just from you and the coaches, but from like each other.
From each other, yeah.
I think that, and I think that, you know, I was talking to Mariah before the podcast, and we were talking that, like, how much have you lost?
Like 30 something pounds,
Yeah, right, and toning up as well. And, you know, obviously you guys all do the work, right? There's not anyone here who doesn't do the work. Mariah does the work. As far as nutrition, the supplements, as far as the working out, you know, doing the semis, all that stuff. And, you know, a couple people who aren't here right now make comments, like in the studio anymore, right? You can make comments, but if you didn't put in the work, you have no right to make comments.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because people get jealous of people who put in the work. And as coaches, like, I can't do anything if you're not going to do what I say, right? Or if you're not coachable. Mm-hmm. Can anyone speak on that? Like, being coachable and actually working towards your goals versus just showing up. We talked a little bit about that. If it's someone who put in the work, right? Like, I always said that, you know, you can bust on me, but like, I did the work. So like, you can either do the work or not, but like, I don't really care what you say. So let's back up for a second. So we do the check-ins, right? And we hit a plateau, like
Yeah, I wasn't going anywhere for a little while.
right? And so frustrated. So then me and Josh sit down, and we both did at that time because it was new for us, so we wanted to both do it. And what do we tell you?
To increase my protein and start doing protein shakes.
We had the meeting, and what did you think at that meeting?
That you were just trying to make me buy supplements from you guys.
Right. And so like, we know that.
Right.
Right. And I was telling her, like, I can tell you that. Like, I don't care if you buy supplements or not. I'm just telling you what works. Right. And so I actually, I don't know, I didn't tell you this. I was like, I don't know if she's going to stay, Josh. Right. Because I was like, she was not happy at that meeting. You know? But we, like, as a coach, like, our job is to tell the truth. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think you didn't do anything. You came in like next week or a couple days later, and then I mentioned it to you again. And I think then that's when you kind of...
No, I did start, because instantly I was like, fine, you know, I'll prove them wrong, I'll increase my protein and nothing's going to change.
And it won't work.
And I remember I was sitting there talking to Kat, like, I had a protein shake this morning, and you overheard, and you're like, good girl. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then by 2 weeks later, you know, I had 4 pounds that dropped off.
Yeah.
So,
Yay!
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome.
so you guys are right.
Dang it.
I know, right?
Because you know the formula. Right? So talk to me about, like, from Jen's perspective. So you weren't always fit? Because I've never seen anyone come into the studio be more fit than you.
Yeah,
I've literally never seen it.
No,
I concur.
no, I wasn't always fit. I definitely had, when my kids were little, and, you know, I was, believe it or not, when I was pregnant with my daughter, I just about hit 200 pounds. And that's when I got serious about losing weight. And for me, it was about finding something that I love to do. So I was a former gymnast, and I'm used to kind of going to the gym and getting the crap beat out of me a little bit. Like, so
Sure.
it's, you know, the idea of like, yeah, this is going to hurt a little, I'm going to be sore, but that's okay. So I kind of had that mentality, and I went to gyms for a lot, you know, I went to Gold's Gym, I still go to Planet Fitness, but gyms are boring. And part of the reason I like kickboxing is because I have to think about so many other things all day, and when I come here, I don't have to think about what I'm going to do here. Like, you've done the thinking for me, and
Right.
I know that I'm going to get a fantastic workout. I'm going to work really hard, and I don't have to worry about, is it arm day, is it leg day? Because that's another thing that's like too intimidating. Or just like, it's just, I think for a lot of women, it just turns into another thing they have to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like, I tell people, like, you guys have all different jobs. You're a lawyer, right? That just blew up your spot. But like, I can't go into your job and just look on YouTube videos and be a lawyer, right? So,
Yeah.
but yes, all the information's out there, but like just because the information's out there, you weren't trained in this. So my degree's in kinesiology and then physical therapy. I went to school for that, so I know what's going on, and you still learn. But like most people just think they can try to do themselves, but they can't. And it's not their fault, it's just that's not what they went to school for, right? That's not what they dedicated their life to. There's other things going on. So that's where you need that coach to come in and then help you and change those levers, right? What are some of the things that, like for Kelsey, you do a lot of Zoom, right? You're probably our most dedicated Zoomer coming, and you do in studio too. But being able to do the Zoom, but you still do the check-ins with Coach Josh. How helpful is that to have like a coach that you can reach out to or start looking at your stats and weighing in?
Yeah, that's definitely been incredibly helpful. I've been doing this for half of my life now. Been working on losing this weight. I'm down 80 from my like highest, which has been has been tough to maintain. But I think having the check-ins has been a huge help, especially the protein thing too. That was a big thing for me too.
And we make the least amount of money on the protein. I don't make anything on the protein. It's
I
peanuts.
don't even use your protein. I use Orgain because my uncle works there.
Well, I hope he gets fired.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
I
work for
doesn't. Yeah, right. But I've really enjoyed the check-ins for that exact reason, is that I am reminded regularly that I need to up my protein, or at least maintain where it was. And I did notice the same type of thing. I lost a few pounds as soon as I started upping my protein intake. And it just helps me stay on track a lot more. I do like the Zoom classes though, because it is a very convenient option for me because I live like 20 minutes away.
Yep.
And I like to do it like right after work, so it's nice and easy.
Well, you're proof
but-
that it works.
Yeah, true.
So here's the thing, like, yeah, obviously we kickbox and we do the weights, but like, what people need to understand is it doesn't, any kind of mode of exercise will work.
Yep.
Right? You could, that curling, like, in the Olympics, they have that
That
thing
whole
they curl.
curling.
You could do that all day.
Oh, that
And
is
eat good, and like, you're still
That's
gonna
a
lose
sport.
weight. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could literally clean the windows all day and eat good. But again, it's something you like, but it's just the fact that people need to move more and eat better. Can somebody share as we go through like this weight loss journey, like you said, I lose it, I try to keep it off. A lot of people roller coaster. Can anyone speak to the main struggles they've had throughout this journey? So a couple of us had the bariatric surgery, right? 1 and 2, right? And we'll talk about that in a little bit, but just the struggles. We talked about like body dysmorphia,
Oh, yeah.
right? Can we speak to, and we can get into this, but like, I don't know if anyone you have a young daughter.
I do.
I'm sure it's
No.
it's prominent in teenage women, right? Especially but now especially with social media, right? Can we speak to first your struggles, right? Anything that pops in your head, whoever wants to.
My whole life was a struggle with weight. I remember vividly because I grew up in the 80s, and that was all about no fat. Everything was diet, Weight Watchers, diet, and that was the kind of the culture that I was indoctrinated into for as young as I can remember. And being told at like 10 years old that you're overweight is a little crushing, and being like you have to like weigh yourself in and stuff like that. So that whole relationship with food and adults making comments about eating a little too much, it really kind of sets the course for a lot of, I'd say, destructive relationships with food.
Yeah.
So my whole life has been an up and down roller coaster in terms of that. And then going through the emotions of, I want to accept myself and who I am, but then your health is going downhill because of the weight that was happening with me. And it was like, no matter what you did, it was like you're hitting a roadblock. You were trying everything. I had medical issues that were preventing me from losing the weight. So it was tough. And it is disheartening when you hit that plateau, and then when you have nobody telling you what you need to do. For the longest time, they're like, well, you just have to keep going. But it's like, okay, well, I'm hitting a plateau. You get discouraged.
Yeah,
And you stop everything because you're like, well, all this work is for nothing. So I'm just going to go right back to whatever. So having somebody be like, all right, let's take a look
We did that
at what's going on. So you're like protein is very hard. It's very difficult to really, you don't think about it. You think, oh, I have enough protein, but you don't think about actually how much protein you have to take. And it's even more difficult for somebody like me and her who have smaller stomachs because of the surgery, where we can't eat as much in one sitting. So we have to really, really, really focus with how much we have to be able to intake without getting sick.
Yeah, and
Yes.
I also want people to understand, just because you have the surgery doesn't mean you lose the weight,
It's just a tool.
No, it's just a start. It just
right? And
pushes
it's
you.
not cheating,
No.
No.
but you still, because I mean, I've talked to people and you know, like you could have the bariatric surgery and still weigh the same or more,
Right.
You could gain it
right?
back.
You could gain it back.
And then some, yeah. And you can literally not lose a pound if you don't change your actual. And the hard part I know for me is now, because now it's the maintenance of it all. I think it's hard for anybody. at
Which
this
is
point.
it's a lifetime.
It's a lifetime, because it's not just a diet, because that's to me that's diet culture. It's a lot. You're changing your whole way of thinking and how you
It's a
approach.
lifestyle.
Yeah, how you approach everything. And I think that goes with any kind of fitness journey or weight loss journey. But if you're gonna, to me, when I was gonna do the surgery, this was a last ditch effort. I was not.
Same.
If you're gonna go and take, cause I got the sleeve, 80-something% of my stomach, I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure I don't go back to that.
So you made an interesting comment. So like Josh and I a lot of times talk, and we're men working with like pretty much all women, right? But I mean, he's trained, I'm trained. So our job is to tell you the truth, whether you want to hear it or not, right? Because if you don't, and I was telling Mariah, like, if you don't get results, like I don't care if you buy a supplement or not, but if you don't get results, you're not going to stick with it.
Right.
Point blank. And you're not going to tell your friends and all that. But like, my job is to tell you the truth. And I had a lady, we do the meeting, and some people either, and I see this a lot with women, they don't make themselves a priority or their health.
Yep.
They view their health as an expense, not versus an investment. Or they, financially, they just don't want to dish out the money, whatever it is. And so we do the meeting, and like once I know in the sales meeting that like I don't have this lady, like she's not going to buy, then I go into okay, listen. So like Rhiannon, if you were my sister, depending on how old they are, I might say mother, but if you were my sister, I would want I said sister. Sister.
Oh, right, I was gonna say not that much older.
But I would want someone like me to tell you that you're not healthy, and then we say this in a nice way. Like you do have diabetes, you are at risk for heart attack and stroke. Like where do you think your life is going to go if you don't change it now? Oh no, I'll figure it out, right? Well, like if you were my mom or my sister, I would really want someone to let you know that like what you're doing now is not going to get you to where you want to go. Right? And I have to tell you the truth because, like, listen, you don't have to work with me, but, like, I'm here to help you, and I need to tell you the truth. And then she leaves, and it was cordial, it was nice, and she was joking, but she was serious. She's like, thanks for reminding me I'm fat. And I'm like, that's my job. Right? Like,
right.
What do you want me to tell you? You're not? Like,
right. And we hear this from everybody. So you're like, you go to a doctor, you're like, my knee hurts. Well, you have to lose weight.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
the first thing.
And the thing is, it's like, until you're actually ready
sure.
to actually make that change, you have to fix this.
Right.
This is the big thing. You can do all of the surgeries, all the things you want to do, but if you don't fix this and really work on this every single day, it is not going to work.
Yeah.
So, and that's what we try to do. I have to make you aware because if you're not aware, like people has anyone got stagnant? Like when you were heavier, like,
oh yeah,
you're like, this is fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
It's fine.
I'm great.
Just accept it.
That's
I don't want to do the work because I already did it, or gained it back, and then I get tired.
Yeah, I
so.
gave up. I like threw away the
Get
scale.
bored.
I'm like, I don't want to
get bored, make excuses.
Make excuses,
Yeah.
right? So, and this could be a controversial topic, but from your standpoint, obviously you can be beautiful at any size. I don't think that's an issue at all. But if you're 50, 60, 70 pounds overweight, you're not healthy.
Yeah.
No.
Right? And so I think in a lot of times society today, especially with women, it's frowned upon. I mean, I don't think you should do it on the street if you don't know the person, right? But like, it's frowned upon to be like, I'll just use Sandy example. Sandy, like, yeah, you're beautiful, I get that, but you're not healthy, right? It's almost like you can't say that to somebody anymore. It's almost like, you look great, don't change a thing. It's that whole thing where like, Lizzo's beautiful and great, but if someone calls you and compares you to Lizzo, like that's offensive, right? So it's like the two different. So as women, how do you feel about that? I mean, I don't suggest that anyone makes anyone feel bad, but like to have somebody to tell you like, hey Jen, like you should lose the weight because you're a mom, right? Like if you have diabetes, you're gonna die earlier, right? That's a stat. What do you feel about that? Especially from coming from women who did have extra weight on them. What are your thoughts?
I would never go up to somebody and assume their health. You know what I mean? So that's kind of a gray area to me anyway. So I know for myself, my weight was killing me.
Sure.
On many levels. So, but I would never like just assume that if somebody was heavier,
It'd be somebody you know.
For somebody that I knew and I knew their health, then yeah, I would talk to them about it. I've done it.
I think there are good and bad ways to do it.
Right. Especially if
to
they
say
approach. Right. If they approach me, then I'm gonna be like, okay, well, let's work with this.
Yeah, so this would be somebody like obviously you know you were close with, right? Because you, just from a physical therapy standpoint, if you're 30 pounds overweight and you have knee pain, there's pretty much nothing I'm going to do for physical therapy to fix your knee pain until you lose the 30 pounds. Right?
No, it's true.
So,
and it's something that we know, but it's hard to hear that. Like
but is it better?
Constantly hear that. That's
but in a constructive way, right? Because if you don't hear it, if people are afraid to tell people, like, listen, as a guy, like this is what happens. Like, Josh busts me up, guys at the gym busts me up. It's like you get in a belly, right?
Yeah.
Damn. Right? But what do? I was at the gym 2 times the other day. You know, like I changed my eating. Guys can do that. Guys can get away with that. You know? Josh, I want you to tell me. Bust me up. Right?
We take it a little bit different.
This is what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
So is it that it's hard to sell that to a woman? Should we not do that? Like, well, you had extra weight on you. Did you want someone not to say anything? Or like how do you handle that?
I think it depended who said it.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, my whole life, my mom would say, like, repeatedly, like, remind me that I was overweight. And I'm like, all right, Mom, like, I get it. Like, I'm very
That's
aware.
probably the hardest one, I think.
Yeah. Like, I love my mom. Like, nothing against her. That is
It's
just
the
the
way they
one
say
thing
it.
that she
Yes.
always said growing up. That I was just like, all right.
Yes.
And she's always been in better shape than me, so that always made it a little tough. But
Yeah.
I'm finally, I think, at the same weight as her, and she's a little jealous of that.
You're like,
but I'm happy.
And I'm like less than my mother, so it's really weird.
Have you seen that people have been jealous of your weight loss?
I haven't.
I haven't.
If they have, I so don't care that I'm just like whatever. You know, I've had people tell me that because I'm doing it that I'm fat phobic. I've had people tell me
Which
that,
is ridiculous.
which I'm all like, wow,
yeah, that's
right.
so wrong.
I'm like, okay, you're gonna think what you want, you know. But I've had a lot of support. I was really lucky with that. But going back to, you know, I think you guys should continue being upfront and honest with people.
Well, we're always coming from a professional standpoint.
And-
Again, I'm not yelling. People down the street, you do what you want. I'm not like, yo, you.
Right.
Get over here.
But it's if you're coming in here because you say you're a weight
Right,
loss, you're
right.
a transformation studio, that you're not here to just take somebody's money like the big box gyms that are going to deliver, we're going to say all these promises and not deliver a thing. But I think society as a whole has a hard time with, they want a quick fix.
Sure.
They have a
Yes.
real hard time
We
with,
live in that kind of a world now.
right,
where
everything is
like
so
right at your
like
fingertips.
this. I want a pill, I want this fad diet, I want this, I want that, I want this. And for them to be like, I have to do this for the rest of my life.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah,
Yes,
you do.
the answer.
You
Well-
have to change everything.
So from my standpoint, that's why people will pay $15,000 for plastic surgery or for whatever.
Right.
And they won't pay like $100 a month for a gym.
Right.
Right? Because anything instant. So I see it a lot of times here. People will lose weight. And then something happens in their life where something negative happens or like they spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what happens? They stop working out.
And that's this.
And you know what happens? They put, I can follow them on Instagram, they put the weight back on.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's no way, if you're doing all this and you're working out 3-4 times a week and you're eating better and you stop that, there's no way you're going to keep it off. Right?
No.
I mean, you, and some people like us, like you work out because you like to eat. Right? You like to eat a lot of sweets.
I do.
If you stopped working out, what would happen?
Oh,
Every fit
we're not
person I
going to
know
find
is like
out.
that. Every fit person I know, I love it.
And it's, you know, I grew up Italian and food is love and it's eat more. But what I do find is I get a lot of, I don't want to say flack because it's never out loud, but I can always tell. I put this gym, but any gym, I put it first.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing else in my schedule when I'm coming here. Like this is what I do.
It's a non-negotiable.
It's a non-negotiable, but other people don't like that.
Sure.
It's the first thing they think you can always do, just skip kick. And it's like, no, we don't
You can't
do
do
that. You know, that's
Yeah.
like skipping something, you know, that's important to you, or just don't go to church. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
it's just not, it's part of my life. And I see a lot of sort of unspoken resentment that's a non-negotiable for me, and that's how I stay fit, is because I don't, unless I'm sick or even injured, like there's no stopping.
Well, that's a good point. Just because you get injured doesn't mean you can't still work out.
Doesn't work out.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about, like slack from like losing weight. Because a lot of times you see it with family, right? I think I was talking to Mariah, she didn't say it, but I was saying like a lot of times when people lose weight, the family members who didn't lose weight, like they try to get on you. They try to make you feel guilty. It's like the bucket of crabs. Like you don't need to put a lid on the bucket of crabs because when one crab tries to crawl out of the bucket, the other ones pull them down.
Yep.
Right? And so people do that to other people. And listen, I've been muscular, my whole life pretty much. You know how many times I've heard, is that a medium? Right? Because I have big arms, like, okay, like, fine, yeah, it is medium. I go, no, it's an extra large, I just make it look small, right? Like, I probably hear that once a week, right? So, you just gotta kind of like let it roll off you because you're on your own journey and no one else is on that journey with you, right? You can have support, but like Mariah's journey, you lost how many pounds?
30-something.
You lost
Over 100.
over 100. You lost.
Probably since I started working out, probably a good 25 pounds. That's awesome.
Well, and when you were pregnant.
Years ago, yeah. Like,
right. You still can lose that weight,
That's what
Oh, yeah.
keeping it off.
even it off. And we lost over 70.
Yeah, since my heaviest would be like 75, 80.
And you're probably over around 40.
About 80 from
About
my
80
highest,
from your
but
highest,
40 from
from
since
here.
I started here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's your journey. What have we learned from that journey about ourselves?
Making it a priority.
Making a
Yeah.
priority.
I changed my schedule at work. I literally will.
Except for tonight where you didn't want to come to your class. So you put your makeup on.
I said, don't bust. I said, listen,
Priorities.
don't even get on me. I gotta look good for this. All right. It's
I'm gonna
not
get
like
to
hot
my
garbage. Would you say sewer rat?
sewer rat, like a sewer rat when I leave here.
Hair all crazy. My face is discolored.
So we learned to make it a priority. What else did we learn about ourselves? Because here's the thing. I always tell people, like, you can't live the best version of yourself if you're not working out daily.
Right.
Like legit. There's other benefits of working out versus weight loss. Clearing your head, making friends, getting stronger. Especially for women as they get over 35, 40, your muscle mass and bone mass decreases faster. Right? So like functionality, like what you're doing, being able to enjoy life. You've ever seen those people who they're 60 but they're overweight, they can't move?
Yeah, yeah.
How are you supposed to travel?
Yeah.
That becomes a big issue.
Yeah.
Right? As you get older, like, and think about this. If you're older and you walk slow, how do you cross the street?
We've seen it. Everybody's seen it.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
But like, what have we learned about ourselves in this journey? We'll go with Mariah.
Well, I just make it a priority. Like Jen said, like you just can't cancel it, can't put it second. I mean, the only thing I do is like Scouts does come first, but that's like already a legit schedule.
But then you could just make it up, right? You just do it at a different time. Have you noticed anything about yourself? Are you more proud of yourself? You're more confident?
I am, and one of the things was I always like I don't have enough time to work out, and
Which
now
everyone knows that's an excuse,
it is
right? Because it's not a
And
priority.
I think you feel like that too because you're going home and you're just like sitting on the couch and like the hours go by so fast. But when I come here, I work out, and when I go home, I have all this energy, and then I get all this stuff done. I'm like, I have so much time now that I'm going to the gym. Which should be the
I think the
opposite,
best
right?
antidepressant is exercise.
Absolutely. Oh my God,
100%.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I think there's even like for depression meds, and obviously your doctor prescribes them, but it doesn't, from what I understand, it doesn't actually increase the amount of like dopamine, serotonin in your brain. It just releases it steadily.
Yeah.
You're not making more. So like if you're already depressed, like you need to be putting more dopamine in your body, working out, feeling healthy, not just siphoning off like at different times, right? So that's why people don't see these big changes on depression meds. You're always on them until you start eating better, working out, like being out in nature, stuff like that.
Yeah.
What about you? You've changed a lot.
Focus. Focus is a big thing.
Especially as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. I own a business. My whole life has been work. That was, opening my shop was just like all consuming, and it was one of those things where I had to take time to really work on me. So I don't have kids. I don't have any of that. So there was no excuse except for the fact that I'm tired. I'm gonna go home. I'm tired. You get tired because you're not doing anything.
Have you seen those entrepreneurs? And in this case, I'm thinking of like men. I see it a lot where they make a lot of money, they have a lot of money, they always work, they're working all the time, and then when they get in their 60s or 70s, they're so broken down and unhealthy.
Yeah.
Number one, that maybe they die earlier, or number two, they spend all the money they made working on their health care.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And it was one of, and again, I didn't want to be, I'm in my 40s. I was starting to see a lot of decline. And I'm like, I don't want to be 50 and diabetic and sick and hurting and needing this. I've already had to have back surgeries and all this other stuff, and that was contributed to like weight and posture from what I do. And, but the confidence, huge. I have my bad days. There's a lot of that, but it's mainly just the energy level is top tier.
Yeah, and you have to do that every day to
Every day.
sustain it.
And the days you don't want to go is
Yeah.
the days you need to go.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
that is honestly when you're going to get the best, absolute best workout. That serotonin high is going to be bonkers when you leave.
And for Jen, it's kind of funny because I look at it as like a business owner and a coach, but like everybody always compares themselves to Jen. Right? Like it's literally like, and like it's funny because like
And she's like so humble. She's like, Stelbert.
and it's funny because the new people, like even some of them, like because we have like old martial arts guys come in, they'll be like, look at her kicks, and then the new
She
women,
dents the bag.
the new women will be
I
like,
love it.
the new women are just looking like, and I was like, no,
It's like,
she's
you
like,
can get there.
yeah, like that's but no, like I said, instantly came in and everyone was like, wow, this lady came in, like, because you don't usually see that, especially with that technique, right? Because you had kicked before, because she calls it kick. But like, what on your journey, what have you learned?
So what, and I so appreciate the compliments, but what people don't realize is I do this day in and day out. I didn't look like this when I started, and what it's taught me is consistency gets you results, and not quickly. It took a while, to start to see definition. And you talk about body dysmorphia, and I feel like I don't see what everybody else sees because I'm still always like a work in progress and, where I want to be stronger. But I couldn't do a push-up when I started kickboxing. I couldn't. And it just took determination and hard work and that over a long course of time. But it's day in and day out for me. And that's a non-negotiable for me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's really about the consistency, which we tell people, but it's like the compound effect. So when we make small changes over time is what actually corrects everything, right? Like you didn't put the weight on overnight, right? So it's like that whole like small changes. So as a coach, like what we do is fix the protein, right? Some people they don't want to follow the nutrition plan, fine, hit your protein goal, right? So it's those little things where we can guide them, because I'm your coach too. Right? And so we have discussions and I have to be like, okay, like don't worry about that. Like, just do X, Y, and Z. But what have you learned in your journey? Because you went from being diabetic to not diabetic, correct?
It's from being diabetic to pre-diabetic. So I still have a little bit of ways to go. My A1C has gone down considerably. So I'm like on the border now.
And you have
Where I
small
wasn't
children?
before, yeah. I have 2 little kids.
So like you
I need the energy for those 2.
energy, but
they got a lot
also
of it.
most likely extended your lifespan.
Yes, and so we weren't thinking we were going to have a second one. So when my wife decided she wanted a second one, I was like, I knew I had to be healthier for my oldest. He's got a lot of energy and
A lot.
Yeah, a lot. But then for the second one, like now it's this 5-year difference. So he's 3 and the other one's 8, and I'm like, I'm an older mother, 49. So I gotta like get healthy, kick myself into gear. I need the energy for them. I need to like have a better lifespan because I need to be around for them. So that was a huge kick in the butt for me. But like the surgery itself was, like Rhiannon said, the last resort. When they told me that I was diabetic, I was like, that's it. I can't ignore this anymore. Because I always kept trying, but when you have like a hormonal problem, if you don't get that fixed, everything that you're trying is just going to be hard, and you're going to get depressed, and you're going to get, you're going to fall back again and be like, whatever, this is just my life. I'm just going to gain the weight because that's what my body's doing to me. Mm-hmm. So this helps me because I did start losing some weight like right after the surgery. But the only thing I could think of is when they were going to clear me to come back, because it just was feeling like I needed to come back, and it helped me to like see the weight loss better, see like toning better, and not just that, but like my energy level. That's exactly what I was looking for, to be able to like, you know, manage my kids and stuff. That energy level that I get from being here is great. And being mom, like punch in the bag
Stress.
is really, really necessary.
I think it's important too. Something that you said, Sandy, your kids are going to see you do this.
Oh yeah, and mine is here. He comes
and
in.
when I look at my own 2 kids, and they're pretty fit, and I feel like having a mom as a role model that fitness is a priority, that's really important to kids. So I think
Definitely.
Which is interesting. And so what we tell people is like, so again, if you don't take care of yourself and you get sick, who's going to take care of your kids like you?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when we talk about being a priority, if you have a problem being a priority, like, you know, mentally, like, I get that, but like, do it for your kids then.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do it for your kids because you want to put them first, then when you break down, then what are they going to do? But they also see it. On the other end, so I have like an Italian side of my family and like a Jewish side of the family. The Jewish side of the family was all overweight. I grew up being like, I don't want to be like that. So like I was able to see the contrast and be like, I don't want to look like that. Right? And obviously I'm short. So like for dudes, you can't be short and fat. Like you're just never going to get 100. You know what I'm saying? So I had to work out. Like I literally had to work out, right? I want to get to what did you learn in your journey?
Yeah, I think my big thing, and I think it's already mostly been said, but dedication over just motivation. Because I find that like I can motivate myself to do it for a couple days, but it's the dedication that gets me out of bed at 6:30 in the morning and out walking my dog by 7 in 25 degrees weather today. And that's the only reason I find that I actually am doing it, is I found that I actually, I don't know, I want to now, and I'm actually dedicated to it. But I have had those ups and downs for a long time. I did have the family members who weren't as healthy. My grandmother was quite overweight and had diabetes. She had a couple different types of cancer. She had like high blood pressure, a bunch of things that I don't want for myself eventually. So that also kind of kicked me into gear and led me down this path.
Yeah, and I think that like this is proof that like it doesn't matter where you are, how old you are, where you're at, like you can always get healthier. Right? Like you can literally always get healthier by eating better. You know, a lot of people are in a lot of pain because they eat a lot of these inflammatory foods. So like once that gets into your body, it just wreaks havoc, right? So a lot of people can clean up their eating by eating these, you know, clean foods where you don't have that inflammatory response in your body. Because like all the itises are inflammation, right? Arthritis, stuff like that. And I was talking to, I think the lady this morning, and I was like, you know, the only thing that really helps arthritis? Movement.
Yeah.
Right? Because like, again, as a PT, they can put you on meds. I get that, cool. But if you're not moving, then they can put you on insulin. But if you're not losing weight, eventually you just need more and more, you know, and more.
Yeah, they'll just up it.
Like as women, did you feel like this pressure, especially when you were younger, to look a certain way? And I know now with social media, well, I'm assuming with social media now, like, I mean, you can't put on Instagram, you know, without, you know, seeing people who are photoshopped, our models, Britney Spears being naked, whatever it is. I know who you follow. So,
she was just on the radio when I pulled up too. So.
but like, what is that pressure? And does it put you in like one direction where it's like, I'm not going to eat, I'm going to be skinny? Or did it push you in another direction maybe where it's like, I'm not going to compete with that, like, I'm just going to eat? Like, what is that? For men, it's a little different. Like, dudes cannot put a post on Instagram with their shirt off and they get like 30 likes, right? A girl in a bikini nowadays, especially like your daughter's age, it'd be like 25,000 likes in like 3 hours, right? So everything is so skewed. And I'm being serious when I said, you could legit cure cancer and get like 1,000 likes in an hour, and a girl in a bikini in Cabo could get 35,000, right? I would almost bet on those numbers.
No, it's true.
It's true, yeah.
So Has anyone seen that, like, in their own life or with their kids, like that
I
pressure?
feel bad for the teenagers with social media being such a big
Oh my
thing
God.
these days.
Incredible.
Like, when I was younger, like in high school and stuff, I wasn't overweight, but I ate like a lot. I just felt like maybe my metabolism was just great. I thought it was going to be like that forever. So I started gaining weight in college, and it just got more from there. But there was no social media at that time. If there had been, I'm pretty sure, like in high school, it would have gone downhill because somebody would have said something like, "Oh, you're too skinny," or blah blah blah, and then that would have gotten stuck in my head, and I'd be like, "Okay, I gotta eat, I gotta gain weight," and it would have gone that way. So I feel bad for like the teenagers with social media now. You can't, like, people judge you constantly.
And is anybody here around, like, teenagers a lot, either job-wise? Yes. I didn't want to call you out on it. But, like, what is your perspective? What is your perspective on that? Have you seen a change?
Oh, it's horrible. A huge change. It causes so many issues that go on outside of school, and a lot of it body issue related. There's huge pressure, I feel like, for girls to look a certain way. And there's a lot of, because we see these photographs that are photoshopped, there's a lot of younger kids who are sending photographs, and it's just this total obsession with appearance.
Yeah.
And not necessarily what's on the inside.
Yeah.
And that's what's sort of gone away a little bit. So it just breeds this entire atmosphere of insecurity, which brings sort of the energy down. So if everyone's just kind of insecure and anxious all the time, it's just, it's like an explosion waiting to happen every day. And a lot of it is, or I would say probably 90% of it is due to just the constant exposure of what's out there on social media.
Yeah.
So different from when we were younger.
Yeah.
Because we had magazines.
Yeah, I was gonna say we had magazines.
Yeah, we did.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like that constant all the time looking.
Well, what kind of magazines are you talking about? I think we were talking about different kinds
Different
of magazines.
magazines. I
All
was
right.
like 17 magazines.
All right.
I was pure.
Okay.
So I did actually one.
Oh, the magazine?
No.
Oh, the
Oh, wow. But I did. Facebook started when I was in 8th grade, so I had Facebook all throughout high school.
How
And
was
it
that?
was not good.
Yeah,
It definitely was
That's
exactly that.
So you're the
I was
baby
just-
here.
Yeah.
Because Facebook started at college for me.
Yeah.
My second year of college. Well, what was that like
Which
having
one is
social
it?
media?
I was already in
It was definitely tough because I definitely, like, exactly as you guys were saying, I was comparing myself to all of, like, the girls from high school, like the popular girls who, got all the attention and, I just thought were so much, prettier than me. And I definitely, that's when I started to gain weight. I gained most of it in undergrad, but I did, throughout, from my freshman year of high school to my senior year of high school, I probably gained like 20 to 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And
That's what I think would have happened if I had it
exactly.
when I was in
Does
high
it-
school.
Does it change? Because now you have, and listen, I do this a lot too. Like you always compare yourself to, other people doing stuff. And now, from my standpoint as a male entrepreneur, like you compare yourself to other entrepreneurs online. A lot of them are fake,
Oh yeah.
right? Like it's not even real. Like
all a facade. It's a facade.
you know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, how's that guy have this, and this? But like, it's literally not even real. But you don't know.
No, it's a facade.
So like that comparison, do you? So all of us are over 25 here, I believe.
No, a couple
Right,
days.
a couple days older than 25. But like, so how does that for women, right? How does that play into like the comparison? So when you do go on Instagram and you see boom, 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 which Photoshop or whatever, now they have AI models, right?
It's a whole other thing.
It's a whole new thing. But like, do you feel that pressure? Does it affect the way you think? So you're a little younger, right?
Yeah, I don't think it does affect me as much anymore. It definitely did, like, throughout undergrad and probably, like, up until, like, the last year or so, honestly. But now I find, like, when I scroll, I mean, I don't really follow a lot of those pages anymore anyway. I kind of stopped following pages of, like, unrealistic ideals that I'm not gonna get to. Like, I know where my body's at. I know, like, what I'm capable of, but I know that I also will not look exactly like some of the girls that are on Instagram. So I try to follow people that are, it's so true, right? But
I think I
try
saw a
to-
picture the other day. It was so photoshopped. Like when it came in like an hour, I was like, that didn't even look real. Like,
Right.
where's the rest of your body?
Like, that's not physically possible. But I think I've learned not to compare myself to people like that, and I now just try to follow accounts that actually motivate me and inspire me in different ways. So.
And how do we get motivated these days, right? Because we've worked out for a while, and we talked about fitness being a lifestyle. And so from my journey, right, you first started working out for girls, right? And then you started working out, to like be better at the martial arts, stuff like that. Then I started working out, or continue to work out to like not be sore, right? Because as jiu-jitsu, we would get thrown on the mats. Now I work out to keep my head on straight, right? So my workouts stayed the same, but the reasons for why I worked out just evolved, right? So, but how do you guys keep yourself motivated? Like, what are your goals now? What inspires you to continue? Because like, especially for someone like Jen, like you don't have much to lose. You have to maintain it. And it's always easier to maintain than lose the 100 pounds. But then it becomes the monotony of it. So like, how do you keep yourself inspired now? Is it goal setting? Is it like, it's non-negotiable? Is it, of getting ready for a cruise, or like give yourself little things? What inspires you now?
It's a stress reliever.
Stress reliever.
Mine is to focus on getting stronger and to build muscle and get more like lean, but lean muscle. That's my next goal. So it's like shifting that whole, okay, because I was so focused
From weight loss.
Right. I was shifting, I have to lose weight, but to stop looking at like the pounds and look at the strength.
Mm-hmm.
That's mine.
And so like for you, like you look younger.
Thanks.
Right? Because
yeah.
obviously we all don't want to look older, right? But
Right.
when you put muscle on and you start exercising, you look younger.
Yeah.
Like your face, like you can see Mariah's face looks way younger than when she started, right? So like,
before and after.
right, to go the before and after. So anyone else what inspires them now? How do you stay motivated?
I just really enjoy it. Like, I know that sounds lame, but
It doesn't sound lame.
I
No, it doesn't
always
sound lame.
have enjoyed exercise, and once I found kickboxing, like, I love to do this. I look forward to it every day. It is not a chore for me because
Right.
I think, and maybe if it's not kickboxing, just finding something that's active that you love to do and that you look forward to doing every day makes all the difference.
Because then it's not a chore.
Never a chore.
It's like, it doesn't feel, you're working out, you're this is the longest fitness relationship I have ever had.
Are we in a relationship?
I'm in a relationship with the building, I guess. No, but this is the longest, I've been coming here, 4 or 5 years?
Uh-huh.
Something like that. So I've never stuck to anything.
Is
for
there something that we
time.
did for you that made you stick here?
The minute I walked in, it was like straight up genuine. There was no clicks. There was no.
I wasn't trying to sell you protein.
No, you weren't.
You didn't have it then.
You didn't have it then.
You were, but
You
But you didn't have it then. But no,
Okay,
but
go
it was very much. I remember when I walked in. I think I took like one kickboxing class like forever, like over a decade ago. And you and Megan at the time were like, "Here you go, blah blah blah," and she stayed with me and
Yeah,
she
sure.
showed me like what to do. So, and if I got stuck, there was always somebody. So it was that camaraderie. And I was like, that was a big thing for me because I didn't want to go to a place where I didn't feel welcome.
And this is when you were 100 pounds overweight.
Oh yeah. So this is, I had a little present to myself because it was
I remember,
not long
yeah,
after
yeah.
my birthday. You know what I mean? Which my birthday's Sunday. So, but it's I was like, I'm gonna try this, And I went by myself. I have no problem going into a gym by myself because I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to kind of just do my thing. But it was that no click. That genuine, hey, we want you here. We want to see you succeed.
Yeah, I think that's like, when people come in, that's the first thing on my mind is like make them feel comfortable, right? Because like, listen, for a gym business, like you don't make a lot of money like in a gym business. I mean, you can, but like on average, martial arts and gyms don't turn like a huge profit. Right, you have to really want to help people, and then you'll make your money, right? But you see gyms pop up and down all the time. COVID, I think, put out like 40% of gyms,
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
Huge.
Yeah.
which means that they probably weren't making money to begin with. So once COVID hit, it was done, right? So you really have to want to help people. So when people come in, like I legit just want to help you, right? And as a coach, like I can tell where you're at. So like I could be like, hey, Kelsey, like just do this. Right, or maybe Sandy's more ready. Do this and this, and then but it all comes down to like I need to make you feel comfortable first before I can do anything with you. So we really try to do that. I actually think really Coach Kat's really good at that. I think she's like our secret
awesome.
weapon.
Yeah, she's
You come
awesome.
in, she's got signs for your birthday.
She's so
and
sweet.
I know,
something.
she's very thoughtful.
Yeah.
She really is.
Yeah,
She's really good. But any other one want to say like what we do here and why you stay here, right? Because people come and go all the time, right? And I get that, and life happens. But like, what keeps you here? Zoom.
I do love the Zoom classes. A big thing for me too is stress relieving and getting out anger. When I was a kid, I did Taekwondo up until I actually got to a brown belt, and then I quit because I don't know why. But I found like as a kid, I had a lot of anger issues too, and that helped a lot. And then I saw one of the ads on Facebook one day for here, and I just decided, I was like, yeah, you know what? I really did enjoy that as a kid. I enjoyed kicking and punching. I think maybe we should give that a shot. And then I started coming, and it was a lot of fun. And I love that you guys offer the Zoom classes because, like I said, it's just easier for me.
You still got a good workout.
4:30,
Yeah, you still got a good
yeah.
workout with the weights.
I was gonna say I punch with weights, which TSA actually stole my 4-pound weights.
Did they?
Rude.
It's
Yeah. You should take
hard
a Zoom
economic
class.
times.
Take a Zoom class.
It's a tough time. She cries for the dumbbells.
I was very upset.
Well, what about you, Mariah? Because I think you're the newest in the weight loss journey of everyone here, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, at what point did you get when you were like, I need to lose weight? Mentally, what happened with that?
Well, it's always been like an up and down, like since after high school. So I've tried multiple things. Like I did Planet Fitness, and I was pretty consistent with that. But
And what did you do there?
I went on the elliptical for half an hour because I knew how to run it, and I would watch other people do certain things, and then I would go and just do a few certain things. But there was nobody, even when you walked through the door, like they barely even looked up.
Yeah.
Like you have
They don't
something,
even know
you
your
just
name.
scan it yourself. It's just not. It's very impersonal.
I see, because I go to the local big box gym over here, and I see like, and I almost want to tell women, like, I know they just go on the elliptical for even an hour, and I'm like, you're just never going to get there, right? And I would never say not to work out, but like, there's such a better way to do this. Because what's going to happen, you do an hour for 2 weeks straight, you're not down anything, you're down a pound. It's just not the right thing you need to be doing. You need to do a mixture. You need to lift weights because you actually burn more calories and lifting weights than actually doing the elliptical, right, over time.
It's so boring.
Yeah, but they don't know what else to do. So then what happens is they don't have a coach, so then they just keep doing that. And they don't, they've been going for a month straight for an hour every day, and they're down 1 pound. It doesn't make sense, right? Like, I'm doing all this work for nothing. And I always want to go up and tell them, like, don't do that. Like, do something different. But, when the student's ready, the teacher appears, right? Kind of thing. But yeah, for you, what, I lost my train of thought. Where were we going with that? What was the question?
Derailment. I don't know.
Coffee? You have coffee there?
I do have coffee.
What makes us different?
Oh yeah. What made you stick versus a large gym? That's why we have editors, so they just edit that out.
Well,
Get
it's
the
really
bloopers.
when I walked in. We have all different, people at different levels. So it made me feel comfortable. It wasn't like I walked in, everybody.
They stare at Jen. I can't let any new person look at Jen. Don't look at her. She'll turn the stone. You'll turn the stone.
Punching like, leave me alone.
I gotta put Jen in the corner. No, not Jen in the corner. We thought Jen liked the corner, so we're saving her the corner. She doesn't like the corner. Me and Josh are like, seriously? That's like, I thought you liked the middle. I was like, me and Josh like, I thought you liked the corner.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Yeah, Kat.
don't listen to me and Josh. We just sell
Don't ever
protein.
listen to him.
Anyway, so so
And just that you guys are all so friendly. You all say hi when we walk in. You're very genuine, and like want to help us and be there with us on our journey. So
yeah, I mean that's like for me, like as a coach and even as a physical therapist, like I get more enjoyment out of seeing you guys like get to where you want to go. Like that's warms my heart, right? Because like that's what I do. But Kevin and I, we've said this on the podcast before. I only have one personality, but we'll say we. So my mom's always been sick, right? So when you're a child of a sick parent, I don't know if anyone has ever had a sick parent. you develop these skills of reading people, and my mom's like, she was super outgoing when she was younger, but like now she gets nervous and like, so you always want to make her feel comfortable. So I learned how to do that, and I just bring it in here.
It's empathy.
Yeah.
I have a lot of
Exactly.
empathy.
You do. Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be helping. You wouldn't have this.
Yeah.
And this is why I didn't think he was there.
Well,
Just saying.
just so you know, Aries are hot, passionate lovers, and
Edit.
Disgusting.
yeah. So that, and I think I think it's hard for women to have a place to come and work out of all different levels.
Where there's not clicks. That's the problem.
Yeah, click. Well, we tell our staff like clicks kill the business.
Yes.
Right.
Well, you kept on, when you started coming here, you kept tagging me to like come and try out, try it with a friend or do it for free or whatever. And I was like, no, I already went through that.
I'm like, this
I'm
is
not-
different. I don't really, because I'm not
Not a clicky person.
I'm not a clicky person, you know what I mean? I like who I like, and I don't. Clicks make me uncomfortable. They always have, because my whole life was like that. Like you go in, like you can't sit at this table. I'm like, I don't want to sit at your table anyway. That kind of
And then
thing.
you burn it.
Yeah, I have a wish. Is what we do. But it's but finding a place that I actually felt comfortable.
That
Yeah.
accepts witches.
That accepts witches.
Yes.
Yes, there's two of
There's
them.
two.
at this table.
There's two at the table.
Listen, I did that podcast with her, and everyone kept asking if I'm a witch. I'm like, I don't know.
By association.
So, what would be your advice for somebody who, especially women, who want to lose weight and they don't know where to go, they don't know what to do, where to start, who to turn to? What would be your one piece of advice for a woman watching this? I'm gonna start with Kelsey.
Oh, I would say my one piece of advice is just to start, because I find like the hardest thing is to actually just like push yourself to do the thing. So choose something, choose like lifting, walking. Walking is a great place to
Sure,
start
I agree
for a
with
lot
that.
of women.
Yes.
Because it at least gets you moving and it gets you thinking about that. That's why I love to walk my dog on most mornings. But yeah, I think that's like the main thing is like actually just doing the first day. Like push yourself to do that first day and see how it is, and then you'll feel hopefully like you can do more.
Yeah, and how important, we're going to go to everyone, but how important is it to have like a coach in your corner who already knows where you are and where you want to go?
Very
Huge.
Incredibly
It's
important.
huge.
Why?
Because you have somebody in your corner
Yeah.
that you could say, hey, I'm having, like if you're having you're stuck on something, or even if it's like, like the first thing I do if I don't want to come to class, I'd be like, he's gonna bust my chops.
But you messaged me this week, didn't you? You
Yeah,
just
because my
that long.
hip. Because it was my hip. You're like, but why? You can do arms and we have a box. I'm like,
Was that a lot of C's, right?
That was like a lot of Y's and
Yeah.
no, that kind of thing. And I was like, fine, but that was fun because
And you did fine in the workout. There was like no
But
issue.
it was the next day. I'm like, I'm gonna go with a hitch in my giddy up. That's fine. But that's if you become friends with that person, and you can, it's that joking and stuff. But it's so important, because then it doesn't feel awkward. I still don't like scales and whatnot, but it's obtaining that knowledge as well. Like, what you teach me in terms of health has helped me out tremendously.
And you can't change what you don't track, right? So I know some of us don't like the scale, right?
Yeah, don't
But-
let us go.
In order for me to, I got to see the data in order to make the changes.
Right.
Because if I don't, and that's one of the big things that people like when they weigh at home. And the first thing I say, like, I'm up 3 pounds, and I'd be like, oh, okay, like, so that's normal, but like, does your scale tell you how much body fat, muscle mass, and water? They're like, no. I go, okay, then we really have no idea what that is, because it could be all muscle, and that would be great.
Right, to be muscle, because depending on, especially being a woman, depending on whatever time of month it is, you could be like this to like 6 pounds up. You know what I mean? And then like a week later, you've actually lost fat. It's just you're holding water because it's a Tuesday. You know, who knows? You know.
It's so true.
It's Friday, so
It's
no one's,
Friday.
no one's holding water on Friday.
Maybe.
So,
I like that scale right there.
That
yeah,
is
embodies.
embodies great.
Yeah, that one I like because
So-
then that actually tells you even like what side of your
It's
body
data.
has the lean muscle, more lean muscle.
Yeah.
I like that one.
And I think also having a coach too, not only to like them to guide you, but to share their wins. Because I mean, there's been a lot of times where you've just sent me your wins,
Mm-hmm.
or you know, like I'm down this, or look at this picture, or whatever. And honestly, like I know you said you guys haven't really experienced that, but like sometimes it's hard to share that with other people in your family because again, they're not putting in the work, right? Like I tell Mariah, you know, if they're not putting in the work, there's nothing I can do, right? I can't do the work for you, so like that's on you. And like that's why me and Josh, like we get along. Like what women do, right? Like
Right.
I'm a coach. I'm not, and that's like I'm not gonna chase you down, right?
I
You
can't
I'll
do this
help-
for you.
You know what I'm saying? And that's just like my personality. Even in PT, like, all right, like don't do it. Like, and we want me to say to you, like, don't do it. I don't care. Like, I would love you to do it, but like, I have my own life. I'm telling you what you need to do. If you don't do it, that's on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, getting back to that, my rant. So what would you tell other reindeer who are trying to lose weight? What would be your advice?
I'd say like, you know, take a chance, even if you think this is something that you can't do. It's definitely something that you can do. You just have to open your mind to it. So like go out of your comfort zone. I started kickboxing a long time ago, so that part I knew I could do. But while I was doing kickboxing in another place, I started like questioning weights and stuff. So then I went into a CrossFit gym, and that like now I'm obsessed. I love weights. The semi-privates are awesome because when we get to do the weights, I
think you
love
just
it.
like dropping them.
Oh, I love that
So
noise.
good.
I think one time I fell out of my chair. And you dropped the
I
body.
kind of knock stuff over here all the
that
time.
Tuesday.
yeah. But no, the weights, I love it, but I never thought that was going to be something that I would like. I never thought kickboxing was something I was going to like. So I had to leave my comfort zone to do that. And it's the kickboxing and the weights, the most amazing workouts I've ever had. Like Rhiannon, I never stuck with anything. Like I've been to so many gyms, done so many diets, done so many of everything, never stuck to anything. This is so good for my stress level, is so good for like sweating and just, I don't know, the power that you feel.
And I think for the semi-privates too, you're just so close to the people in the semi-privates,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So like you have that community of women. And when we started doing the semi-private, I expected it a little bit, but not to the level that it actually is at, which is cool for us, right? Because we kind of just, it's like a whole nother level to the studio. No offense, I know you're not in it yet.
Yeah.
But this is the whole reason we're doing
Yeah.
This is the whole reason we're doing the podcast. So we're Kelsey. But there's no Zoom on it. But
Well, I don't know that.
so like I didn't expect that, right? And we always improve, but like just the camaraderie between. I mean, most of the people who started the semi-privates, which was you, Rhiannon, Tracy, and Jackie, like 3 of you are still here.
Yep.
You know, so like, and that was a year and a half ago. I don't,
Yeah.
2 years.
2 years ago.
Almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years. I have to my zone says that.
And so, I mean, we
That's
keep updating the lesson plans to make them even harder, more challenging, and
You
more
have to.
stuff.
Yeah, you got to up
You
them
have
for
to.
us because we keep on like
Yeah.
getting better and better.
So what would Jen's advice be? That's something.
I would say not to focus on what you have to give up, because I know for me, you know, when it comes to losing weight, it's always about, oh, I'm gonna have to eat rice cakes. You know, I have to give up everything that I love, and it's not about giving up. It's about adding. So add the activity, add some more healthy food. Like you don't necessarily have to give up. And once you add those things, then all the kind of bad stuff falls away a little bit. There's not a lot of room for it anymore.
Well, I think also when you work out too, like you don't want the crappy food.
No, because you feel it. I
Yeah,
mean,
your body, like-
I
you
always
feel
joke
it.
about, you know, when I eat ice cream and cookies, which is right now, you know, out of control, but I feel it. Like I get to a point where it definitely impacts my workouts, and then I'm like, okay, like I gotta cut this back a little bit, and that because I don't like to come here and still, you know, not feel like I got a good workout in. So
Yeah. So one of the things for me too, a lot like dairy with the inflammatory, right?
Yeah.
I wake up and I'm stiff. Like
Yes.
sometimes if I have like an
Start to
ice
notice.
cream, like from an ice cream parlor, they call them potholes anymore?
Yeah,
Sure,
I think
sure.
so.
Like sometimes I'll wake up with like a sugar headache.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh, why did I do that, right? Because it's that food and your body's not used to all that sugar. And like from getting thrown on the mats in jiu-jitsu, like I definitely have arthritis. Like we didn't have mats back then. Sometimes we do it on the floor.
Right on concrete.
Yeah. So like my body, but so when I have stuff like that, I'm like, oh man, like but I have to work out. I don't take any meds for it. I literally have to work out.
Yeah, and you feel it for sure.
Yeah.
You feel it. I mean, I have arthritis too. They already saw that like in x-rays and stuff. And so does my wife. The difference here is that I come here like 4 to 5 times, sometimes twice a day, 4 to 5 times a week. And I only feel my arthritis when I wake up in the morning because of probably the way I sleep. My son sleeps in the same bed and all
Well, you
that.
also haven't moved for 12 hours.
Right, haven't moved for 12 hours and all that, but it's not that bad. Like she wakes up and has to take a cane to get herself out of bed. Sometimes she's like walking with a cane. And I know she's got like different back issues than I do, and it's more than just arthritis, but I feel like if she was did more movement,
Well, movement
like
is
this,
medicine.
yeah, then she'd feel better. Because I mean, I know I don't take anything for the arthritis. Like I don't like taking any kind of medication. So
And the whole thing with meds,
don't have it that bad.
meds lead to other meds,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
right?
sure
So it's
does.
like this whole.
She takes medication every day, which it kills me. She takes a leave like every single day, a leave and ibuprofen. And I keep telling her that's not doing anything for you. And like, you have to keep on taking more because your body got used to it. And it's like, this isn't working. But I'm trying to get her out to like move and stuff like that. I think when she sees a back doctor, it might help.
So it's funny, like, because of my job, I work in the morning, there's like a break, a lull in the middle, and then I work till like 8 at night, whatever. So I try to nap like for the hour at lunch. And because it's light out, whatever, like I put on rain noises like on YouTube, like the thunder rain, right? And so today I was like the comments, I just was, and it was like left 6 months ago on this YouTube video, and the lady was like, I'm an 81-year-old woman. Basically, she's getting ready to die. Like she wants to die. She's like, I'm in so much pain. She's like, I neglected myself all these years. And then she was like, as a nurse, she's like, if you're reading this and you're younger, like take care of yourself when you're younger so you don't end up like me.
Yeah.
Right? And it's that whole reminder of like what you do now dictates how you live your life. Right? If you didn't lose that 100 pounds, I guarantee your life would be nowhere as good as it is right now.
Oh no, absolutely not.
100%, right? So you're going to be miserable. And then it comes to a time that you're older, and now it's even harder to lose the weight, right?
Yeah, especially as a woman.
Because once you go down that cycle, and this is how your life's going to play out, right? Like you only get one body in this life to like experience life, and if your body ain't moving like it's supposed to move, you can't have that fun. You can't do those things.
Yeah.
You can't go on vacation because you can't walk that far, right? Whose advice is it? Your advice? You already gave advice.
Make yourself a priority. It is not selfish, it's selfless. Because if you make yourself a priority, and that's not saying ignore your kids, ignore your family, ignore whatever it is, that's you need to make that time for yourself. And find what you enjoy doing. Much like Kelsey said, start going out for walks. Find people who have that same kind of passion for something. So that's going to help drive you and motivate you. So find your tribe of people who are like, okay, let's
You saying
do
that because I'm Jewish?
No, but okay. Well, you take it how you want. But I noticed that a lot of times, especially women in society, if you don't, it's always, family, kids, work, blah, blah, blah. It's never, well, what about you?
A lot of times women put themselves last.
The very last,
Especially Italian women.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen.
And it's sad. And on a societal level, it's really, it's so prevalent. So if you just give yourself that hour for yourself, it's going to make a world difference. World difference.
Well, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
And you can't be the best mom without being healthy.
Right. And it's not a sacrifice. A sacrifice is not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a sacrifice to be like, all right, I'm going to take this time to myself, so I can feel better mentally, I can feel better physically, and I can just release some stress because any kind of working out or exercise is going to relieve any kind of stress that you have. You know, I don't care what it is, whether it's just going for a stroll in your neighborhood, or if it's just, you know, coming here and beating the heck out of the bags.
Well, that momentum break, and I think one of the benefits of having a coach is that, like, when you get to the point, because even me and people, it's funny because people always ask me that, there's some days you don't like to work out. I'm like, yeah, there's some days I don't want to work out, right? Like my arms are big enough, but so
You gotta work on your legs.
so no guy has ever gotten laid because his legs look good. This is like no.
I like legs.
No,
I
this
don't
has
know,
never
man.
happened on the history of the planet. No woman's ever
I'm
been
a
like,
big girl,
oh,
man.
his quads
I'm
are
a
great.
big tall
Definitely
girl.
gonna
If
go
you
with
got,
that
if you
guy.
got some strong legs, you can pick me
It's all
up.
about the chest. It's all about the chest and the arms. But anyway, like,
No,
yeah,
I
like,
this part here.
but it's about
That's
habits.
just
It's not emotion, but it's habits. It's emotion.
Right.
But like, that's what having the coach, right? Is to remind you that you are a priority, or let you know you're a priority. Because when I meet with people initially, they don't know that.
Because you know what? We've heard it all.
Yeah.
They said it's empty promises. We've heard it all. You know what
You
I
mean from like other people trying to help you, or?
other people trying to help you and medical professionals, you know,
And you said an interesting thing.
right?
Doctors tell you to lose the weight,
And they don't give you anything.
but there's
Yeah,
no
they don't
plan.
tell- yeah.
There's no plan.
Like, go
Yeah.
to a nutritionist. Do you have any Listen, I'm a fat girl. I could have lost all this weight. I will always be in that brain. Will always be the obese girl.
Yeah.
I know what to do. I just need to actually have implementation to be able to work for what works for my body.
Yeah.
You know, which is another thing, is like finding out every body is different. Every single body does different things. So it's fine tuning that so you work with what works with your body.
Mhm.
To a certain extent. You know, everyone needs the protein, which we all know is a big thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For the longest time, I was like, Dad, that's BS, blah, blah, blah. But it's not.
Listen, I was telling Mariah before this, like, so obviously you get into this, you keep learning. And I've watched a few different podcasts on protein, and like, it's more important than I even thought it was.
Right.
Right? Like, oh, like all this stuff it does in your body. Like, we always knew we had to have protein, but like, especially for fat loss.
Right. And plus, with how much the whole diet culture is with keto and carnivore and vegan and vegetarian, and there's no.
There's too much information.
There's too much going
Yeah.
on. You know what I mean? And they want it to be its quick fix. You can lose this, blah blah blah. You know, but they're not giving you the tools to be able to work with it and to be successful. You know, and doctors are notorious for that. They are. Every single doctor I've been to, like, oh, you still lose weight. Can you go to a nutritionist? Okay, they're gonna tell me how to read a label. Like, I know how to read a label.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, so you know, in the model we use is the gym launch model. They taught us the nutrition, the accountability, and Alex Hormozi, who made that, is basically like, you're not in the fitness business, you're in the accountability business,
yes.
right? Because like you know what you have to do, work out more and eat less, but like, do you have someone checking in with you and like holding you accountable to that? In business, do you have somebody who you send your P&L things to every week and be like, oh man, this week I lost $4,000, right? I would have made more money working at Target part-time,
Right.
you know? So it's about being and looking at tracking the numbers, whatever it is, and being like, okay, you know, like that didn't go so well that week, so we gotta fix it this week. I was telling, so like new relationship since May, I put on like 8 pounds of fat.
Mm-hmm.
I got on the InBody with Josh the other day. Obviously Josh is like over my shoulder or whatever. And he's like, or whatever I tell him about it, and he's like, yeah. So like the next day, I'm at the gym twice. I have my proteins again, but like I had to track that on the InBody because I could have been like, oh, I took more muscle. But the InBody was like, no, your fat went up 7 pounds and your muscle went down 1 pound.
And
And
that's
I'm
leading
like,
by example.
and then and so then I'm like, no, we can't have regular pancakes on Sunday. We need to make Kodiak pancakes, and I need the light syrup. But like again, there's always that ebb and flow of weight loss. So like, it's okay if Kelsey puts on a couple pounds. You just change it. It's like, and for the holiday season, your goal is just not to gain weight. It's not actually to lose weight.
Right.
Just don't gain weight. Have fun. And so people, when they go, I'm gonna have an alcoholic drink. All right, like have one. Like you still have to make this sustainable. My job is to simplify this for you, and to give you support because it's a lifestyle. It's not just like you can't come here for a 6-week challenge and then just stop.
Yeah, it's
Right.
You just put the weight back on.
Yeah.
Right? Does anybody, and I know we have to go to Mariah for the last question, but does anyone feel like they are a a role model or somebody that other people look up to because of their fit or because they've lost weight?
I've had people tell me that I was inspiration. Straight up, they were like, "This, you've inspired me to go and do this."
Out of state too, right? Didn't that happen recently?
Out of state, out of the country, you know, on Facebook and stuff like that. Because I have no problem posting my before and after pictures. There's a whole bunch of people who have a problem with people who do that.
Crabs.
Right. So I'm all like, you can do what you want to do, but this helps me remember
same
yeah,
here.
that body dysmorphia.
It helps the body dysmorphia.
It
You have
makes
to look
me
at
realize
it.
that how far I've come, you know, and you know how much work I put into it. But I've had a lot of people, you know, message me and they're like, okay, you know, some people are interested about the surgery, some people are interested about, you know, what I've done, and I say I got surgery, but that's not that helped because it's a tool. But everything else is now is doing the exercise. I've had people tell me, so I think so. Yeah.
Well, and I meet with people too who've had the surgery, and
Right.
they're right where they are 3 years later, but they still haven't lost
Right.
any weight.
Well, like Sandy said, it's like when I had the surgery, all I wanted to do was come back here.
Yeah.
And it was 6 weeks of, I was walking, you can't do any, all I wanted to do was come back because I knew that was going to be the catalyst for me to be incredibly successful with the rest of the weight loss and the toning and the muscle and all that. It wasn't just like, okay, I got the surgery done, I'm guaranteed to lose like 50 or 60 pounds, you know?
When did, and maybe you never did, but like, when did you see exercise being an investment versus an expense?
Ooh,
That's a tough one.
that's a tough one.
I had to finagle things in my family, in my like home life, in order to force myself to see that this was a priority because of the money, the whole money situation and stuff like that. But now I've worked it out. Like I stuck around. Sometimes I was like, oh, I don't think I can still come because I don't think I'm going to have the money to pay for blah, blah, blah. Oh, I can't get this supplement because I don't have the money. But I worked hard to switch that around because there was no way that I was going back to the way that I was before.
Mm-hmm.
So I fixed it now. But you know, like straight out, like how many times I was like, no, I'm going to have to take a break. I can't do this. I can't afford it. You find a way.
Yeah.
If it's that important, I mean, it should be that important, but if it's that important, you will find a way.
Well, and the other thing too is like, if you don't exercise, you're just going to die early. That's for the most part, most probable. If you don't exercise, right, unless you're exercising and the bag falls on you or something like that, or reindeer sign fell on Jen's foot the other day.
Oh no.
No, it's just like,
I want to be over there.
that's why we put her in the corner.
Because
Nobody puts Jen in the
Josh
corner.
put me way in the corner.
Oh, did you knock something over?
No, it was just all the vibration.
She kicked the bag and then the reindeer sign fell on her. And Josh comes over to me and I'm like, oh my God.
That's your fault, Josh.
This is Jen's last class. But did anybody ever see exercise as being an expense?
Yes, I will say that after I got divorced and I had to look at my finances, you know, it was one of the things where it was like, okay, maybe that's what has to go. But it wasn't. Like, there was no way that's what was going to go.
Right.
So, you know, I make sure that that's a priority for me.
And you know you'll spend more money on doctor visits, co-pays, MRIs, surgeries, fad diets, things on the internet, than if you just exercise and pay for that in the first place.
Right.
Right? Because when you're not happy, you're just going to spend more money. It could be clothes, whatever.
Right.
But like, that's the mentality
But
shift.
that's not a belief out there.
No.
And,
Right.
and, you know, people always like, oh, you know, you spend all that money on kickboxing. No, that's my sanity.
This is
Like,
my therapy.
That's
Exactly.
my health. Yeah.
And that's my health, you know, the key to my happiness. So it's not an expense to me.
And I think I just posted, I think Rhode Island was like the 5th most obese state in the union, right? For like adults and like kids as well.
And we're the
Right.
smallest age, which is just so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
That's sad.
But like, it's that mentality.
Yeah.
Right? That you're trying to switch but maybe people don't know where they can go to get that support. Because again, I realize that too, like, when people say it to me, like, I haven't seen the studio. There's studios that do it like us that are very good, but for the most part, it's not like that. It's like they take your money, they close down,
Yeah.
right?
Twice.
Oh boy.
You know, and they take your money knowing they're going to close down,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where if I owe you $1, I'm like, no, you got to take this right now. I'll freak out.
You want a water?
Yeah, you want water? You're the
Give me
water.
water, take the water.
I owe you $1.50. Okay, Mariah. So someone's watching this, right? Maybe they were where you were. What do you want to say to them?
Well, like everyone has mentioned, just find something that you would enjoy or you're passionate about. Maybe it's something you always wanted to, like, I've always wanted to try kickboxing, and one of my friends in another state does it, but the gym she went to, like, looked a lot more, like, hardcore, and now she's, like, an actual fighter with blood and all that. I'm like, I don't want to do any of that. So when I saw Julie's post for this, I was like, oh, I'm going to go check out this gym. And when I walked in, it was mostly women, and I didn't even realize that at first, that it is kind of targeted more for the women. So it did make me feel a lot more comfortable that there wasn't, you know, a bunch of guys already knowing what they're doing, and I'm sitting over there trying to learn.
There are some guys, but we sometimes know more than they know.
Well, I think that's important because like you can't be something to everybody, and like we don't turn well, that's not true. Like we're specific about the guys that come into class because it's a safe zone for you guys, and like we don't want. Like, even for the longest time, I didn't hire male coaches, right? Because I didn't want there to be, like, that, like, sketchiness. Like, listen, I remember they first opened, like, LA Fitness down here, when they were first building it, and then the manager, at the time, this is years back, was calling the women after they signed up. Like,
I think I know who you're talking
but you know what I'm saying? Like, well, I don't, like, my name's all over the business. Like, I don't need you, like, you know, so... I was very, you know, wanted to make that safe zone because, like, that's who I really want to help. And even when we did the martial arts, I don't know if anyone's been in the martial arts before. You have. A lot of martial arts schools back in the day, or even now, were like all just men working out, right? And we geared it more towards families. So that when we started as a martial arts school, and then we did the fitness kickboxing, and now we're like a weight loss transformation center, right? So you have that whole evolution, and it was always families and women. Like those are the demographics that we wanted to help. Because like I never wanted like testosterone-filled men like beating each other up. Number one, as a business, like you can't make money, right? Because someone's gonna get hurt.
Right.
But I always felt like, you know, because of my mom and like wanted to make her feel comfortable, that like women need a place to feel comfortable and come in and not be judged. So you know that's kind of how we do it, and I feel. The staff does a good job with you guys, really kind of, you know, working with it. All right, any final comments, thoughts, anything anyone wants to say to anybody on the panel? Bob didn't say much, but
He usually
he's just
doesn't.
chilling.
He's the strong silent type.
Yeah. Yeah, anybody want to say anything to anybody on the panel?
I think everybody here is awesome. And
Yeah.
an inspiration for sure. Absolutely. So
I agree.
I'm glad everybody's here.
Yeah,
And I'm glad I'm here.
we're just gonna get Kelsey the semi-privates. And
Yeah.
then we'll be all set.
It'll happen.
It'll happen. I think most people are now at this point.
A lot. Well, so thank you for being on the podcast. I appreciate all of you. And podcasts, but you'll see a lot of the people who take their fitness more seriously stick. When we look at like a large group class, it's mostly the semi-privates who are in the large group.
Yeah.
Because what happens is when things get tough out there, like financially, this is the first thing they drop.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And again, no judgment, but like because they don't understand that once you lose this, like your life's not going to most likely get better. I've seen it. Like I've seen people who quit here and like you see them online and it's not better.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Because where are you going to go to work out? Again, you're not going to go to a big box gym.
No, because you get lost in there.
You get lost,
Don't even
then
pay
you
attention
stop
to
working
you.
out. You know, we've had multiple people come back who like thought they could do it on their own, and then especially after they do so well,
Right.
and then it's like I try to talk people out of it, but at the same once you make the decision, like I try to help you, but like I respect it. Like you can do.
I looked at other stuff what I could cut out, and that was like even like ordering out, going out to eat, things like that. I stopped doing all that stuff even before the surgery, so I could afford this. I was like, once you get that your brain is going. It's like you know you wouldn't skimp on paying your mortgage or your rent or your utilities or you'll lose it. You have to have it like that. Like, and I like having everything on the schedule because my whole life is revolved around the schedule. So the beginning of the week, I lay out my whole schedule, and this is the first thing I do is this one.
And what's the point of having a nice house and a nice car if you can't do anything?
Right. Right. So it's just kind of getting rid of things that, I mean, if you're gonna go out and drink every weekend, like, you know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like there goes what, $300-400.
Yeah, and
And
then
a
goes your
weekend,
health too.
there
It's
goes
not
your
like
health,
you're throwing
yeah.
out money,
So
you're
it's like
throwing out your
every
health.
so often do what you gotta do, whatever, but take out what isn't going to help you and then put it into something that is going to benefit you.
Well, anyway, I want to thank you guys
Thank you.
for
It's
doing
fun.
this. I hope it was fun for you.
Yeah.
Bob, you're never getting that sweater back. It's actually Bob's now.
It looks good.
It's
So,
nice.
he needed something Christmassy because they had Mardi Gras beads on them.
So
This is like my favorite.
No, they look like
But
Mardi
thank
Gras.
you guys.